Hey everybody, it's Becky Browning with Wallflower Greetings and welcome to Crafty Trails episode 5. This is what I have entitled Punch Happy. So if you don't know what Crafty Trails is, it's a new series that I started last month where I teach you how to craft on the go. I figured since I'm traveling and I usually bring something to work on, I might as well share that with you. So I am here in Houston, Texas, and I'm attending a conference. And it's been kind of a long day, actually a couple of long days. I got here late yesterday and had a meeting, and that meeting went over, and that's how come I didn't do Crafty Trails yesterday. In fact, I'm a little behind on everything. I will be posting right after this my What's a Who's It Wednesday quiz of the week. So didn't get that done yesterday either, just a lot going on. But welcome. I thank you for joining me, whether you're watching me now live or later on. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me show you what we're going to do today. I have a variety of punches here that we're going to work with, and punches are great, and they're just really one of my favorite things because they're so easy to use, and it's just really neat to have a nice texture, a nice shape added to your project without having to cut it out by hand, which I really love that. So when you're traveling, you want to kind of plan ahead. I've got about 4 punches here, and I've actually got more over here because, again, I pack more than I need. I'm just kind of that way. But if you're trying to be a minimalist, but you want to work on something, I suggest planning ahead. You know, figure out what your theme is going to be or what kind of things you want to make. These are really great projects for anyone to do, including kids. Kids love doing these. You know, you can just provide them with a bunch of paper and they'll just punch stuff all day long. Of course, you'll have paper all over your hotel room possibly, but anyway, it is a lot of fun, and kids really do get into doing things with punches. And when you're working with punches, I'll show you here in a minute. If you haven't ever used a paper punch, I'll show you how it works, and then I'll show you a modification for kids, or if you have any kind of dexterity or arthritis that might help you in using these punches a little bit easier. So as you notice, I've got kind of a theme going on here. I've got the pansy punch, which is a flower. I've got the daisy punch, another flower. I've got the lemon or lime punch. I think it's called the lemon punch in the annual catalog. All of these are from the annual catalog. And I love this lemon because it's got 2 little leaves that go with it. And then I've also got the 1-inch circle punch. So I have spring fever. I'm so ready for spring, and I'm kind of afraid that we're going to have another cold snap before it's all over with, but maybe not. But it's been really nice back home, and it's very nice here right now. A little cool in the morning still, but still, yeah, I definitely am ready for spring. So I decided that I wanted to focus on that. I also need thank you cards, and this is a really quick and easy way to do a really cool thank you card for somebody. So I'm going to work on some of those today with you. So other things that you're going to need, so once you've figured out your punches, other things you're going to need is some adhesive. I've got some snail, and dimensionals are a must, I think, when making these 3D projects. I've also got a stamp and pierce tool. I call it a pokey tool, mostly for getting embellishments off my card and placing them where I want to. So I've got these, you know, these are optional, but I've got some embellishments here. I've got some of the clear faceted gems from the annual catalog, and some of the silver rhinestones. So of course you're going to need paper. I suggest 2 of the easiest things to do. In the annual catalog, we have the Whisper White and Very Vanilla note cards, and they're a really nice size. They're a little smaller than the standard size cards that we usually make. They are awesome because you get a bunch of cards. I think you get 20 with envelopes. The other thing that I brought today that I'm going to make a couple of cards with is in the Occasions Spring Catalog, and they are these narrow, Whisper White narrow note cards with envelopes. And I love the envelopes because they've got this really neat rounded little flap, so they're just really cool looking. So these are a lot of fun, so I'm going to do a couple of projects with them. You're also probably going to need a bone folder if you don't have one. These are essential. That gives you a nice, really good crease when folding paper. Other things that you might want to have, just to add a little detail, is some markers. So I chose to bring my pack of the 2016, 2018 Stampin' Write markers. These are the in colors, and these are going to be going out. So they're in right now, they're going out in April. We get the retiring list, and these will be going out, and they'll be replaced with new colors when the annual catalog comes out. So if you don't know, we have two sets of in colors that kind of stagger each other. So we have the 2017, 2019 in colors, which they will go out next year. And then we have these. So I will post down below the colors, you know, what they are, because off the top of my head, I can't really tell you. I love them. I've used them a lot. They're a lot of fun. They're kind of colors that I wouldn't have normally chose, or that I'm you know, normally attracted to, but I really, really like them. So if you love these, you want to stock up now. You want to start looking at the ink in particular, the ink pads. If you don't have those, the re-inkers. If you have the ink pads, you'll want to replenish. You know, if you like the colors, you want the re-inkers. Any of the paper, so the cardstock, the designer series paper that have these colors in it, ribbon, anything that has these colors in it will go first, and they'll go fast. So just keep that in mind, and I'll remind you later on. Like I said, I'll post the colors and a little bit more information in a separate post. But so that's just a little FYI on the in colors. So I do have the markers. I also have a black Stampin' Write marker too. So that's really about all you need. Now you could add in, if you wanted to, you know, add in some stamps. You could bring, you know, whatever you're working on. Like if you're doing thank yous, you could bring some stamps that have thank you in it. But I just wanted to kind of keep it as simple as possible. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the first project. And I'm kind of doing these on the fly, and that's kind of pretty much how I roll with these. As you know, if you've watched my videos, I pretty much just kind of go with it. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to take one of these narrow note cards, and I'm going to move my punches out of the way and only grab the, and by the way, you're probably going to need some scrap, because you need scrap to, in different colors or whatever, to punch, you know, out your shapes. And you know, this is a good way to also use and utilize some of your designer series paper as well. So I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm going to start just with a basic pansy punch. This is a lot of fun, and you can get as simple or as complicated as you want with this, really. There's a lot of things you can do with just one punch. So I'm going to show you that. I am going to take, what color do I want? I believe this is some scrap of rose red. So there's some rose red, and I'm going to take, and I'm going to punch two of these. So what we do, these are called lockdown punches. Oops, let me just throw it. Oh, that's fun. You never know what's going to happen with me. Okay. And also, you may notice that I'm in a hotel. I've got some great crafting space. I'm at an Embassy Suites. But one thing you'll notice with a lot of these places is the lighting is terrible. It's just awful. All right, let me see if I can now, since I've bumped my camera, it's not wanting to stay put. There we go. Let's see if that is good. Sorry about that, y'all. Come on. Stay put. Yeah, I messed up my really good system. Okay, I think I got it. Don't breathe. Okay, so anyway, what I was saying about the lockdown punches is that on the back, there's a little lock. You flip it, you push it up with your thumb, and it opens it up. Now, most people, and this is kind of normal, most people assume that you put your paper down here on the open end. You don't. You put it on the closed end. It's almost like think of a stapler or a hole puncher, you know, like one of those 3-hole punchers. Where do you put your paper? It's in the narrow end, and you press the lever in the back, right? So the same thing applies here. Now what I do is I turn it over, and I'll tell you why. So you can kind of if you're visually lining these up, you can see that you've got it, you know, that you are not leaving any holes, okay? So then once I do that, then I usually turn it over and press, and it punches out That way it doesn't go flying across the room. Now, if you have any trouble with arthritis or dexterity, another way to do this is to line it up, put it on the table face down, and then press. And that way the table gives you leverage. And that's good for kids as well. All right, so we've got 2 of these little things, and I love the color, so that's fun. Now, on this card, I'm going to turn it. I've already got it folded, and I've already used my bone folder. And so I want it towards the top, and I'm turning my card to where it is portrait, so up and down. So I want my flower kind of towards the top, and I want to layer these, and I want to offset them so it gives it some dimension. The other thing I want to do, a good use of my bone folder, is to make you know, to kind of curl the petals. So I'm just going to go along and just run the edge of my bone folder on the petals, just to kind of break down the fibers of the flowers and curl them a little bit. Now, if you don't have a bone folder, I've used my finger, just kind of curl it around my finger. That works okay too. You know, don't have to have this, but it does make it a little bit easier. Okay, so I've got my bent flowers there, my petals. Now, there's 2 different ways to do this. I've got them where both of the petals are turned up, okay? Does that make sense? So they're both, you know, curled up. And then I've offset them. So that's one way to do it. But another way to add a little bit more dimension is on the bottom one, if you turn it where the petals are down. If that makes sense. And so then you're going to kind of just smash down the middle. And then you're going to take the top one and turn them up, you know, where they're curling up. So it even gives even more dimension. So I think that's what I'm going to do for this little project. So what I need is I'm going to take, now, you know, this card, I don't even know, because it's smaller, I don't know that it'll go through the mail well. So this is something that I'd probably, you know, a little note card that I would hand deliver to somebody. And that's something to keep in mind. The more embellishments you have, you just have to kind of think about it. You're going to mail it. You may not want it to be quite as thick, or, you know, you may just want to be careful because you don't want to have it smashed in the mail. So this is a hand delivered card. So I'm going to take a dimensional here. And of course, if I was going to mail this, I would just leave it more flat, I guess. So I'm going to take a dimensional and put it on the back. I peeled it off my sheet. All right, it's got sticky adhesive. I've put it on the, well, actually, I wanted to do, let me do this one. We'll just make it really stand out. So actually, I want to put this one in the middle of my flower. And I want it to where the, you know, I want it facing me with the little petals facing up, curling up. And then I'm going to peel off the backing, and I'm just gonna, then I'm gonna stick it where the petals are now facing down on my card where I want it. So that looks kind of cute right about there. So I'm gonna press that down in the middle. So see, I've still got a little bit of dimension there with my petals, and I could have done it even more, but I think that's good enough. Where they're, you know, kind of curled. Okay. Now I'm going to take and peel off, since I've got this other dimensional on here, the opposite way of peeling the little cover off the back. And now I'm going to stick it in the middle where the petals are facing up towards me, and I'm going to offset it just a tad bit. And I kind of have to do this, sorry y'all, with, you can't really see it, I'm doing, there we go. All right, so now it needs a little something. It's cute, but it needs a little something. So you could put just a little gem or an embellishment in the middle of it. So I think I'm gonna go ahead. Now it's kind of interesting. I didn't do this for this project. I had done this for another one. The clear faceted gems, you can color them with the Stamp and Blend markers, the alcohol-based markers, or a Sharpie. I'm not sure which one this was done with, but it kind of looks like the color of this flower. So I am just going to pull it off, and you can use your fingers, or if it's easier, you can take the tip of your pokey tool and pull it off. and then stick it in the middle of your flower. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So that's one cool thing you could do with markers. I haven't tried it with the Stampin' Write markers. I assume that you could probably color with them, but I don't know if the color stays on there. It may just come off. So probably would be safe to do it with an alcohol-based marker. All right, so there's my cute little flower. I think that turned out great. And that was so easy. Now, I could leave it alone and I could just write with a marker something down here, but I think what I want to do is I just want to make a little stylized little stem. And what color do I want to use here? Okay. Actually, I think I grabbed, let's see, what color do I want? I think I'll just do, I don't know if I want to do black or, I don't know that I want to use Dapper Denim for that. And I've already got marker on my fingers, but that's about how that goes, right? You know, I think I'm going to switch. I am going to use a different marker. I'm going to use the 2017, 2019 in colors because I want this green color here. This is called, oh, what is it called? It went out of my head. I'll think of it in a second. That's pretty sad. So I think I'm just going to make a little line here for my stem, just a little curvy little line. There we go. And, you know, if you're artistic, you could do some little leaves or whatever. Now, again, I'm not going to use a stamp. I could write my message on the inside, or I could just say thank you, or just whatever. So I think I'm going to do some little stems by or leaves just by kind of drawing little V's. And I'm not getting real particular. I'm going to make my stem a little darker. Tranquil Tide. I knew I would think of it in a minute. Couldn't think of it. That's the name of this color, Tranquil Tide. And that's really cute. Really? That's all you have to do. That is easy, easy, easy peasy. So then you have your little envelope to go with it. Okay, so that's that project. All right. So I have some card bases, some standard card bases already cut. And I'm going to show you a little different trick here. This is Daffodil Delight card base. And do I want that or do I want white? Yeah, I know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take some scrap Whisper White, just the regular Whisper White cardstock. If I can find it. I have a sheet right here. Okay. And so now we're going to switch over and we're going to use the just the little daisy punch, and I'm going to make a white daisy. And again, I'm going to punch 2 of them. Okay. And for this time, I'm also going to do something a little different. I'm going to get some more scrap Daffodil Delight here. And I'm actually going to cut 2 more daisies, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with this. In fact, I'm going to actually cut 1 more white one. I want 1 more white. I want it to be fuller. You could layer 2 or 3, and I think I've even seen people do 4 of them, but 3 is about right. Okay. So I've got my 3 daisies. And I've got my 2 yellow daisies. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to set this aside for a second. Now, this is one where I'm going to use a couple of punches. So now I've got the 1-inch circle punch. And you're going to think I'm kind of crazy here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to center that circle punch right in the middle of my yellow daisy flower, where it just cuts out the middle plus a little bit of the petals. And the petals, the little petals are going to fly everywhere, so try to point those down. Now, I'm the kind of crazy person that I would use these for something, so I'm going to keep these separate and set them aside. And one thing that you might want to use if you're in a hotel is just one of those plastic or the hotel cups to you know, keep your little pieces all together. So that's something good to do with that. Okay, so I'm going to do that with, let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to do that with one. I'll save this yellow flower for a little bit later and show you that. Okay, so I've got, this is going to be my flower center, the one that I cut out of the yellow with the little, so now I've got little petals. And you could use this just for a baby flower if you wanted to, just by itself. I've done that before too. But we're going to layer these together, and we're going to do the same principle. I've got, you know, this card base, and I'm just going to layer right on top of the card base. And again, I want to off center, and this time I've got 3 circles that I need to, you know, put together. Now, adhesive. So if you wanted to stack up really big, you know, why you could put a dimensional between each one of them. I don't know that I'm going to do that. I think that I'm going to use probably, I think the best adhesive really for this to hold these together. Glue dots I've tried, but it moves around on you quite a bit. So I like snail, believe it or not, and I'll show you how I do that. So now with these, I don't need a bone folder to you know, kind of curl my petals. I'm just going to use my fingers, and I'm just sort of flicking it just to kind of, you know, get the petals. I'm sort of doing them all together. So just, oops, see, sorry, bumping the camera again, y'all. I've kind of got a limited workspace under here to work under, so because of my setup here, so it's real easy to bump. And then once it gets out of whack, it kind of doesn't want to stay. Okay, there we go. All right. So anyway, just going to curl these up with my fingers, petals. Okay. So when you're going to do snail, you need something underneath it. So let me grab that if I can find it real quick, because I had it. All right, we'll use this. So you need something like wax paper, or if you have a craft sheet, or you know, our silicone mat works really great for that. You just need something so that you don't get glue on your surface when you're trying to glue down little small narrow items, and you need something where it doesn't, you know, stick to everything. So this is the sheet that my faceted gems come on, so I'm just going to use the bottom part of that because it's got that kind of wax paper type feel, and that'll work just fine for our surface. So I'm going to turn these. So I've got my white daisies, and I'm just going to turn them, you know, upside down and add, and I'd say upside down. I've curled the leaves a little bit, or the petals already, so I'm just going to turn it upside down where the petals are facing down so that I can add a little glue. And then I can also puff this up again and play with my, and I'm just going to put a little glue across the middle of that flower. Okay, and so then I'm going to just stick the next one down on top of that, but I want to off center it. And let me see what I'm doing here. So I'm kind of doing that, and I don't care if it's perfect. Some people get all, you know, I don't know, just real concerned about these lining up and looking perfect, but in nature, that's not how it is anyway. So, and then the last one, let me put the glue. Now that I'm going to put this last layer on, I'm going to put some glue in the middle, and then stick my next flower down. And I'm just offsetting these. And I want it, you know, to be as full as possible. So that looks pretty good. All right, so there's my flower all put together. Now on the back of this, I'll put a dimensional. Okay, and I'm just going to put it on my card. Take off the back of the dimensional and stick it where I think I want it. And I'm just going to do it pretty much right in the middle. Again, this is you could do either direction, but I decided to do a portrait card. So I'm putting it on my base, and I'm curling my petals up even more again, like a daisy would be. Okay, I'm just flicking them up. Okay, good. I like that. Then I'm just going to take my center and glue it in. Now again, I could dimensional it in. In fact, I think I will put a dimensional on that center as well. And I love this daisy punch. It's so fun, so cheery. And I'm even going to bend the little petals up of that, so for my center, and put it right in the middle, or somewhat in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. Cool, I like that look, really cute. And again, you could leave it just like that, but I think it needs a little something. So for this, I am gonna, so you could draw it on there again, but I think I don't have much in the way of green paper with me, but I do have some designer series paper that's from the Occasions catalog, and this is called Sweet Soiree designer series paper, and this has got little green stripes with some gold, I think that's gold paper, so it's real pretty. And I think that I am going to I'm just going to cut some petals, and how I'm going to do that is I am going to take the daisy punch again. Where did it go? There it is, hiding behind everything. And I'm just gonna, just take and cut out a few petals, like half. I'm just gonna do maybe half of the daisy punch here. Okay, so there's half of them. And then I'll take my scissors maybe and trim it. So, if you have scissors, or you can even tear them off, really. And actually, I love that because and that was sort of an accident. I made a stem, kind of, with 3 little leaves coming off of it because the stem's kind of narrow, but hey, I kind of like that. How funny. See, accidents happen. I didn't even plan that or intend to, but I've got, because I did half of the flower, and so I did half of the little petals, if that makes sense. That's wild. So I'm gonna knock the camera again. Okay. Here we go again. Gotta get him all straightened out. So sorry, y'all. Get my structure going again here. Okay. There we go. Nope. Top heavy now. So sorry. Don't you are you getting seasick yet? Motion sickness? Hopefully not. Okay. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my snail again and glue, just gently add some glue to the stem part. I love the way that turned out. And I'm not going to care that I have 3 petals on one side, or 3 leaves on one side. That's kind of cool. And I just want to line it up where I think it looks good. Cool. And I'm even going to flick the leaves up a little bit. That looks really neat. I love that. So on this one, I just want, I think I'm going to use the black this time. And I'm just going to write thank you. And I'm going to use, on the Stampin' Write markers, there is a brush tip end and a writing tip end. So I'm using the brush tip. Let me see if I can do this without messing it up. But I'm just going to write thank you. So there we go. Another cute, easy project. So that just kind of gives you a couple of ideas for things you can do. Now I have this lemon punch here. So again, this is just a real simple, easy project. You could do lemon lime twist. I usually use that color, but since I don't have it here, I'm actually going to punch a lemon out of the yellow. And I don't, again, have green, but I definitely have that designer series paper with the green in it. And I'm going to go ahead and punch those. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and punch leaves. Sorry, get it back in the camera here. So I'm going to punch my leaves And I don't want to waste paper here, so let me tear off an end here. Oops. And I'm just gonna slide it in where the leaves, where I can get the leaves in there like that. Punch those. Yeah, that's pretty cute. And I think, let me see if I like this. This other side of this striped paper with the green and the silver. I think it's either silver or gold. I really can't tell visually. Maybe both. But on the other side, there's an opposite. It has the green and Daffodil Delight, just some different colors here. It's kind of like little dots or little, yeah, I guess looks like little dots to me. But then there's, I was going to see what that looked like to put that on a card. Again, I think I want to go portrait, and I may not like it. I think it's a little busy to me. It doesn't look quite right with that. I don't know, with that that designer series paper. And I think it needs another lemon, another yellow lemon. So let me do that real quick. Sorry, y'all. This was my husband calling. I'll have to call back in a minute. You never know what's going to happen. I wonder how many times. Let's count, see how many times he calls. All right, let's see if I like this. Well, I don't know. What do y'all think? I'm not really sure. I think with this one, I love the lemons. One thing that I like to do is give it some dimension. If you have a sponge, you know, or a dauber, you could get a little ink and go around the edges. If you don't, you can still use kind of your markers and do kind of get that effect. So I am also going to get a marker here. And I'm going to take the lemon lime twist because I think that'll be the closest. I think that will look good on this, on the Daffodil Delight. I am going to grab, just for this same little card that had my embellishments on it, and we're going to use that to kind of protect our surface. And I'm just going to, let me just see if I can highlight real lightly. I'm going to turn it on the side and sort of go along the edge. Okay, that's all right. I kind of like that, and just kind of blend it. I'm not going to get too, and then maybe just provide a little color, maybe some dots. You know how the limes kind of have the, you know, just a little bit of texture, right? Okay, and that'll make it stand out more on the card. So let's do this other one. So then I might like it better than with that designer series paper behind it. It just needed, you know, it needs to stand out a little bit. All right. Okay. Okay, let's see. I want my shadows going the right direction here. I think I am going to put that actually landscape. And so it's going to look something like this. Huh. I don't know. That might look all right. But you can just experiment with that and play around and see what you like. But I love this lemon punch. So that's about it for today. If you have any questions, let me know. Be sure to, if you like this video, hit the like button and share it with your friends. And also, for every time you comment, you're going to get registered into the drawing for March. So I've got, you know, a series all through March. I will do the Crafty Trails series, and at the end of March, well, going into April, I'll actually do the drawing. In fact, I owe everybody a drawing. I was going to do that tonight, but since I've been traveling, I haven't gathered up all the comments and everything. So I will probably do that next Wednesday. I'll do the drawing for February 2018. So thank you again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you soon. Bye.